Hey guys, this is CallanLoF with a bit of a different treat for you today. So I've gotten a lot of different people talking about these LEGO idea projects for Bionicle and a potential 20th anniversary reunion thingamabob. I figured in order to talk about it, I should do a little reunion of my own, since talking about MOCs is not my day-to-day field. So I've brought on Ben Cossey here.
Happy to be here. Hey guys. Thanks for having me on, Callan. Always a pleasure to chat. This will kind of be a part one. We'll also do a part two on my channel as well. So you can head over there. We'll go a bit more in depth on my channel. There you go.
Let's get started here with the first project. There's 4 that we're going to be talking about today, and my little in-brain calculations here was that we were only going to talk about projects that had over 500 likes. So this one's sitting around 700. It's a Yui Robot by Student Scissors. I'll start and say I think it's a really nice model here. Lighting is pretty good. Ideas for little accessories, even though I don't know if they necessarily go along with the robot itself. Ben, what are your thoughts here?
I think it looks really good. It looks a lot like what it did in the comics and the other lore and everything. So I think in terms of really encapsulating a model for Bionicle, it's perfect. And I always wanted this as a set. So I'm pretty happy with it. I think it looks good for what it's meant to be, you know?
Yes, what it's trying to accomplish is good. It's a very nicely designed system figure. I think we've covered that pretty well in terms of like it's a good mock and as a good concept. It's a pretty strong one here, and I could see why it's gotten a little bit of buzz. But in terms of this is a Bionicle LEGO Ideas project, that's where I'm a little more iffy, because the Yui Robot is definitely a very important part to the Bionicle story. But this is a LEGO Ideas set. This is the main thing for all of Bionicle. This would probably be the last Bionicle set we'd ever get, barring they bring it back in some format. So logically, if you wanted to go with this premise, I think it would be better to have the 2 fighting, mostly just as a companion piece. Having the one robot is fine, but then in terms of trying to come up with little side additions, just having masks that you put on the face, it doesn't make a lot of sense. There's not like a lot of forethought in terms of the Bionicle aspects of this project that would be like, oh yes, this is a great Bionicle project. The only Bionicle pieces we'd be getting out of this are remolds of the same head, presumably. Ben, what do you think?
I agree with a lot of what you said, but I think one thing that I think is really important is, as a Bionicle fan, this is a really cool set, and it's something that I think a lot of us have wanted as a set. But if you take out any context of Bionicle and you're a system guy who has no knowledge of the lore, you might not know who this guy is. And it's a very bare-bones skeleton, and that might be kind of boring for a kind of average Joe, because it has been quite a while since Bionicle lore has been a thing. That could be a bit of a downfall for this. Matoro or Jala or someone with a really striking color scheme or a really interesting aesthetic would possibly be a better kind of little anniversary set sort of thing. I like what he's done, but if we're talking about something that really effectively represents Bionicle to anyone, whether they know about it or not, this could be stretching the line there, I guess.
I would agree with that, and I would throw in a counter and a rebuttal to that counter, in that as something that's a bit bare bones with Bionicle, it could potentially be interesting in terms of like people might think this is just kind of a striking robot look. I don't even know what Bionicle is. I just think this looks like a cool robot. But the other counter to that would be, we've already gotten a lot of LEGO robots that have kind of cool designs. There's a big old Bastion you can buy from the Overwatch franchise that's doesn't look anything like this, but it fits the exact same kind of concept there. And in terms of outside Bionicle things, it's a good mock, but I don't know if it's got the strength in concept and the strength in design to really get a lot of people excited over it, to vote on it to begin with. And that's, of course, the most important part with these LEGO Ideas projects. But it's gotten a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. Any final words?
I think it's good. I would buy it if it came out as a set, not just because it's Bionicle and I like Bionicle. I think it at least stands well as a set.
Yeah, I would definitely be interested in purchasing this one, but this would not be my first choice. So, with that said, moving on to the second project. The concept is, of course, pretty obvious. Make 6 presumably smaller Toa sets with a bit more posability to reflect LEGO's modern standards of what a buildable figure should be able to do, but try and keep that G1 aesthetic. This is a strong idea, in my opinion, in terms of what a LEGO Ideas set should be. It's exactly why G2 started with doing new versions of the original 6 Toa. Those Toa are some of the most iconic images of Bionicle. And that's why I think that first wave of G2 actually sold decently. But in terms of the presentation, the mocks are okay. The background's not great, but, you know, we work with what you got. Ben, what do you think?
I really like the concept of building them as, you know, smaller versions so that you can jam-pack more into a set. But if you were to market it as all 6 of them in one set, that I could see becoming a little bit of an issue in terms of pricing. I think these would sell better as individual sets, and then that begs the question, can one dude get 6 projects out of the one? I like how they've honoured the past but embraced the future as well with the designs, so I think it's pretty cool.
I agree, and yeah, in terms of concept, that is the trickiest part. I could see there being an issue with having 6 figures in one set that they'd end up charging probably $50-$60 for. Not ideal. I ideally would like to see these sets as 6 different canisters re-released. There's really not a lot to elaborate on further because it's the original Toa. The idea is strong. The mocks aren't the greatest I've ever seen, but they do the job in what people want to see, and that's why this project's accumulated over 2,000 likes. People want to see these characters done as they were in 2001, but to a modern scale, and I don't think G2 quite delivered on that, so doing that for a 20th anniversary concept would work really well. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. This one is the Toa in the Temple of Time by Grumble Bricks. These last two feel more so in the vein of LEGO Ideas projects where they have lots of bonus features to keep people excited. So I'm going to let Ben start this one off with a lot of his thoughts.
I really like this one. I love how much it does also feel like a lot of the comics and like the Maranui online game and things like that. You feel, looking at this, I feel really immersed in the world. There's the animals with it, there's the temples and stuff like that. And I love that. That would make me want to buy this and play with this, both as an adult, but both as a younger kid, because I'd be like, oh, this is a whole world. And that's exciting. And I think the playability aspect is very important for any LEGO set, because then it opens you up to adults and for kids. And I think this being system as well is also really good because you might have people who aren't so sure about this whole CCBS or construction side of things, but because it's system, it's a little bit more safe and a little bit more fun. And then you can also look at it from like a Ninjago perspective of, you know, these really bold and strong characters, but also a lot of playability in this world and this lore and this story. And I think this set really encompasses that. And I think that's the purpose, because a lot of these are kind of like anniversary style sets that, you know, honor the past and embrace the future. And I think this is perfect for that. And of the 3 that we've talked about so far, I think this one might be my favorite, just for what it encapsulates. Senor Callan.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot of good system qualities. It looks like a LEGO set in that, you know, a lot of these bigger LEGO things that kind of honor one setting have a few disconnected pieces of brick-built furniture, you could call it, I guess, that reflect different settings since they can't do an elaborate building with the piece count and price that you typically need for something like this. As I've been scrolling through, you've got the fun little doors here with the fun brick-built recreation of the 3 virtues, which is really neat. There's lots of fun creativity with some of the things they've included in here. My main criticism would be, one, he's using the base Hero Factory ones from the 2014 Invasion from Below minifigs as a way of showing what they would look like, but that doesn't really give us a lot of ideas of how he'd want LEGO to execute them. The character selection is decent. You got the good original 6 Toa, I like that. You got Takanuva and Makuta, that's good. Matao and Okama as Taraga choices is interesting. In terms of being like an actual LEGO project set, I think this checks a lot of the boxes you'd like for what a set would look like. The Tohunga head brick built is the most impressive thing about this. It's a little flat, but it's well designed overall. It's got a lot of personality, even as just a studio project, the way it was created digitally. Despite that, it still conveys a lot of personality. I think ultimately, something I'll say right here is we'd buy any of these sets just because we're hardcore Bionicle fans.
Yeah.
But in terms of ones that I would want to buy, this would probably be second. This would probably be my second choice. Final thoughts, Ben?
I'm with you. I love the Tohunga head. It really embraces the lore and the characters and the story, and it's a fun little project.
Giant Puku's a little weird, though. I'll just throw that out there. I guess that's the capper there. Let's actually talk about what everyone wanted to talk about, because this is the project that's clearly had the most presentation put into it, the most support put behind it. People have gotten really excited over this one. Ben, actually, I'll let you start this one too.
Again, it's a very similar concept to the last one, being very system heavy. But I think this one's good in terms of how much it embraces the story of classic G1 Bionicle. And it, has these little tableaus of really iconic moments in the story. I love that. Again, I think it could fall into the trap that we spoke about before of someone who has no context of Bionicle might be a little bit confused. But I think this one also has a really beautiful thing of there's really fun techniques in it. They just look really pretty, and everyone loves two robots fighting in front of weird planets and clouds floating in the sky. It just looks nice. I think this has a really nice blend of appealing very heavily and very well to Bionicle fans, but also appealing to a generic fan of just having no idea about Bionicle, but thinking like, hey, this actually looks pretty cool. If I had to pick a favorite of the four, this would probably be my second favorite. I think I like the last one a little bit more, but I really, really like this. But I'm keen, Callan, to hear your thoughts on this project.
Yeah, this is definitely a labor of love. You can tell Sakota put a lot of thought into this project, and it shows. There's so many great details, from all the water to the look of the Monong-style craggy mountains and the Tahoe scene, to the two Matoro faces of his past reflecting as brick-built backgrounds as he sacrifices himself in the story, and the big ol' planets behind in the robot fight. And of course, I do really like the design of the base with the gears on the sides, and the use of the Matoran language, as presumably they'd be stickers, unfortunately. Hopefully LEGO would print those, but they have a budget. But in terms of an actual concept, this is unfortunately my least favorite among these, in the sense that I think it goes a little too strong on the story stuff that the fans would really get into, and not as strong on what people would actually want to buy and remember from Bionicle. The robots are definitely a very important part of the Bionicle story, but we never got sets reflecting them. So anything that had a set feels a lot more iconic as a part of the Bionicle story than anything that doesn't. And there's a lot of things in the Bionicle story that didn't get sets. But the fact that these robots never did, it's a scene that I would have omitted if I were to do a concept like this, doing 3 important scenes. The fact that there's no scene of the Toa fighting Makuta feels kind of bizarre, even though, of course, the concept is Motonui fighting Makuta at the end. It fills out the right beats for what is more important to the story than the sets. I don't think it's the strongest concept for a LEGO Ideas project, where this is the only thing. This would presumably be the last Bionicle set we'd ever get. I'm thinking about it more practically in those terms, and while I do think there's a lot of love put into this and a lot of fun details, I'm still not big on the system concept to begin with. I think that the best thing to do for a Bionicle LEGO Ideas project is to have a Bionicle figure of some kind using Bionicle pieces. This has the fewest Bionicle pieces out of any of these. But ultimately, I don't think this is something I'd like to see on the shelves if this were to be the last thing from Bionicle. That said, as I said before, I'd still buy it if this got approved. And most likely this will be approved. It's sitting at 8,000, so if you guys think this is really cool, I'd encourage you to support all of these projects, actually. I would say my favorite project is the Toamata one. Would love to see those characters re-envisioned, their Bionicle figures. It's the only project of all 4 of these that actually wants those characters as buildable figures again, and that appeals to me personally. Unfortunately, the best one, I think, the one with the most labor love put behind it, is dead last for me. But these are still good projects, and I'd love to discuss them further. So we're going to be doing that on Ben's channel, so I would encourage you to click in the description below to see that one. We'll also have links to all these projects in the description below. Any final words, Ben?
I think, yeah, everyone's done a fantastic job on these projects. It's really for me to see all these projects being put on LEGO Ideas, and the fact that some of them are on like 8,000, they're like so close to the golden 10,000 there. That's a really exciting thing. It's
not a lot of times you see these Ideas projects pick up steam so quickly, and they might fade. The Sakota one, no, it definitely won't. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Thanks, guys, for watching. Check out Ben's video. We'll catch you on the other side.
See ya.